our personal signature so that we can unleash our infinite potential. And Evelyn works in hospitality for many years, and she traveled well around the country. She lives in many countries, and she brings a wealth of knowledge in hospitality, and she is our queen in party planning, especially surprise party planning for birthdays. So without further ado, I would love to introduce you to Evelyn. Evelyn.
Hey everyone, thank you so much, Jean. Thanks everyone for coming, for connecting. I see some people, I know my mom and my family are watching live on YouTube. So that's why I don't see them in here, but I know they are there. So shout out to my mom. Hola, mami. Big kiss. And then, yeah, so let's start. I want to tell you a story today. It's a story about the time when I felt at my most vulnerable moment. It is also a story about a journey, my ongoing journey, unleashing my why. My why, as Jean already mentioned, is to empower us reaffirm our personal signatures so that we can unleash our infinite potential. So earlier this year, we were all affected by a pandemic that struck our lives in the most unexpected way. And it actually limited us also. So through these times, we have experienced all kinds of feelings and all kinds of emotions. I, for instance, learn and understand how important it is the sense of belonging, how important is the sense of respect, how important it is to appreciate what matters to you the most in life, because nothing lasts forever. It is also now in these times that we see truly human leadership arising. For me, it was also a time of fear. Honestly, I still live with a little bit of fear right now. I lost beloved ones due to the virus. And my beloved ones, my family, my friends, my community, my teams, they also lost some beloved ones. And honestly, I couldn't help but thinking how far away I am from all of them. And at that moment, I felt alone. I've been living here in Bali for almost 3 years with my husband, our 2 dogs, and 1 cat. I work in a beach restaurant, and recently I can proudly say that I opened my very first business along with some good friends. It was not easy at all when we first moved in here. And just when I thought that I had all figured out, I found myself in the middle of a crisis. My team of 140 people and I were asked to stay home and start a mild quarantine. When you work in hospitality, as I've been doing for over 10 years, in between Barcelona, Ibiza, Lima, my hometown, working from home, it is definitely not an option. So we found ourselves on a challenge to keep on motivating and teaching our teams so we do not lose the family feeling, this bond that we have created and the engagement that we had until that moment. So with all of these things happening, it was time for me to wear my big girl pants and reaffirm my personal signature at that moment. I must say that actually until that moment, I haven't quite put right the words for my why. So it is exactly through that process of finding and reaffirmation that I finally understand how I could live my why. It is this that allows me right now to be here, sharing with you and tell you from the bottom of my heart what worked for me. You might be wondering what is a personal signature. And I'm sure that most of you have heard about personal brand, meaning how we show up ourselves to the world. And as right and as good as that is, The thing is that we cannot build a personal brand if we do not start with an internal one. Let's take, for instance, your handwrite signature. This signature is not other than a mark. It is what you write to prove your identity. And as you know, it is unique and it can even show some traits about your character. So for me, that is a personal signature. Is that proof of your identity, that person's uniquely undeniable self-identification. We all have it within us, and we must identify it so we can realize that in moments of need, in moments where we need it the most, we can always stop, go back, reaffirm ourselves so we can continue moving forward. That is, for me, the way that I connect the dots backwards. It's kind of connecting backwards so we can keep moving forward. It is also like your internal compass. And, like with any other compass, we can always pause for a moment in time to figure out where we want to continue. So how do I connect the dots backwards? In this journey, in my journey, I have realized that there are 3 things that help me ground on moments of need. The first thing, and I want you to think also about that right now while you are sharing with me. I want you to think what matters for you the most in life. What is it that you take care and love in life the most? Yeah, that thing that you're thinking, like me right now, I can give you an example, is my family. My family is the common theme in everything I do. That sense of belonging that is always showing up. For me, my family, and it's not only the generic family, but it's the one that I've been so blessed to know through my life. Even in my job, I build teams. And when you work in hospitality, you definitely need to have passion. We spend hours and hours in our venues, meaning that we spend more time with our teams than with our actual families. I empower my teams so that they can treat each other like family. We encourage respect and teamwork, and we create safe spaces so we can show our true colors. That is one way that I live my why. This, for me, is the first tool that I use to ground. It is what it makes me feel safe, love. It's like coming back home, whatever home means to you. This is where your personal signature starts. Then think about your values. Think about your top values, actually, because we might think, many tons of them. But just write down the 5 top values that come to your mind in this right moment. These values are your core. We have them. And once we identify which are the values that rule our lives, we identified it as the natural response, the reaction to actions. And we can understand our behavior much better this way. We use them to make decisions, and it is important that we remember them and that we always keep them in mind. Then finally, I want you to think about that time when you were feeling down because things weren't going your way, or because you were sad, or just something happened and you were not feeling at your best. How did you overcome this? Have you overcome this? How did you feel at that moment? A month ago, my auntie died, and it was a devastating moment for us. She was only 51 years old, and she lived a life full of love for her kids, for her family, and for everyone she met in her journey. Her smile and her warmth, her soft voice, even when she wanted to be tough, they will always be in my memory. So when we are feeling deep down in these moments, it is time for us to calibrate, to analyze, to do some reflection. It is when we are in this roadblock, when we feel overwhelmed, that we need to realize that we are the only ones that have the key to unlock this path. You can do it through many ways. For me, what is working for me is through journaling, is through writing, and especially through meditation. This is actually for me the best way that I have to unleash and to avoid self-sabotage. So one step at a time, after these three things in mind, it was time for me to create a strategy to reaffirm myself. First thing I needed to do is to remember that I was not alone, that there's people over there that loves me. I need words of affirmation to myself and also by the people that are there, that are always there and that loves me. We also need to trust. We need to trust that this self-examination, it is correct and it is right for you. We need to surrender to the present moment. I know that when I live in the moment, things just become lighter and easier. We do not grasp to our thoughts, and especially we do not judge ourselves. It is also through meditation and yoga that I feel at my most trusted. Breathing techniques are also renovating. And then finally, when we have all of these things figured out, it is time for us to give. What you have inside you is worth sharing. We can always start small, like, I don't know, doing someone a favor, calling someone that you haven't heard from for a long time, forgiving someone. When you put yourself in service of others, this is the best way where you can find yourself, by giving. You give away love and you will receive love. It is like always coming back. And this is my life experience. So wrapping up, this is the way that I live my why, how I empower us to reaffirm our personal signature so that we can unleash our infinite potential. It's been a long journey since I found the right words to express it. I actually know that I was living it before. The only difference now is that I live it with intention. I can say now more than ever that I appreciate every moment trying to develop this crazy idea. I improve my way of living and I continue using it to reaffirm myself every day and to go back home whenever I need to. I strongly believe that it is important that we get to the point where we can have the courage to share our vulnerable moments and to have honest conversations. So you see, this is not the end. This is just the beginning. And I know that it is working for me right here and right now. I just want to say thank you. I'm so grateful that all of you are part of this journey. Gracias.
Thank you so much, Evelyn.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thank you for your beautiful sharing. And for those of you who are not aware, Evelyn is actually giving her talk at her work. This is why we ask you to connect with her after, because she is truly dedicated. She's truly dedicated for her work and for our community. So my greatest gratitude to you. And if you would like to connect with Evelyn, we would encourage you to go to WYRED.live/speaker, and then Evelyn has all her contact info in there. And like I said, she is happy to connect with anybody that reach out to her. And so thank you.
Thank you, Ying, and thank you, everyone.
And now, again, we would remove people to the waiting room again and then reset the room for our next speaker. I am personally very excited for the next speaker because he is our in-house musician, a true musician. So we'll see you in a couple more minutes.